9 of 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 more videos. And I feel like it's going to go fast because ever since I started this reading, it's been the fastest set of readings I can remember in history. And when I've been doing the Alchemy of Polarity, instead of because normally if I do a list, because normally when I do the readings, I'll look into the social environment, I'll look into my life, I'll meditate and do the process of making with your movement to get to the questions. Then I'll do the mythic reading, which is something you write out. Then I'll do a mythic journey, and then I'll get clues. When you go on a mythic journey, you get a basis called mythic gift. The mythic gift for this entire reading is this was a baby teether, and it's symbolic for a cross, anchor, and then an ankh. So a few days after that, I actually was just riding my bike, and then I found this. This is another teether, but it's a star, so it's a shooting star. So there's a symbology to the shooting star. And then I had of course you get other clues on your journey and your mythic reading, but the mythic clue is basically what you would focus on being the main clue for the entire series. So what's for this series? Because I'm doing 3 series. I did series 1, understanding what executive power is. This is series 2, developing our executive power. And then series 3 is going to be something else. I'm not there yet, so I don't know what it's going to be, but it's basically the all 3 go together. And the readings go over time. So when you're doing a mythic reading, it could take you, just to do the reading alone, could take you anywhere from probably 1 day to a week, because it is intense. You have to go through the process of asking the questions in the correct way and understand what the questions are, because see, what you're doing is you're delving into your unconscious mind. So you're going the conscious, subconscious, and then into the unconscious mind. And this is where our contracts lie. But on top of our contracts is all this programming. So we're doing basically a soul's excavation when we're doing the process. There's a whole way. It's all in the books. There's 2 books. This is book 2 that I'm going to use today. And there's book 1, and then there's a deck of 72 cards. So this is 2 decks, because I just figured I would do something different. Because I feel like with this reading, we need to do a reading, because I'm going to finish reading everything, because every reading I have to go over. This is where we're coming from. This is where we're at. These are the questions we're asking. This is the thread that's leading us to developing our executive power. So the main clue is, like I said, the cross. The main symbology is salvation. Basically, salvation in the sense of excavating all the parts that we gave away, sold, and bartered and sold, and so that it would basically degrade our soul. Because when we live a lie, we don't live according to our purpose, and we do things. Anytime you're doing something, I have to do this in order to do this. Of course, we're always going to be thrown into those situations, but to consistently practice that as a way of being, that's directly linked into the matrix model for a human. And the thing of it is, you're doing things, you have to in order to get to a place. But then meantime, when you're doing it, you're living a lie, and you're partaking of programming that's hurting other people, and it basically lowers your soul force, and it builds your karma. So basically, it eats away at your body, mind, spirit, soul complex. So we need to be balanced, the anchor, balanced and equilibrium with salvation, which is bringing all those parts back, what I just talked about. And we have to be stable in it. And then the ankh is symbolic for eternal life. The eternal life, the breath of life, becoming a real person. So in the sacrifice and the resurrection of our soul, we become a real person. We're able to speak, think, and act according to the will of our highest, that we think, walking our path. But the issue that we're having is that we don't have a lot of choices where to go and where to work, because every time we step into an area, they're trying to pull us in and control us and basically tell us, unless we do what they say and do according to them, we're shit. But then even when we do that, nothing turns out. See what I'm saying? You can go into the control system because it's money, it's pittance for nothing. They basically, it's like, think of this. You get a job, right? You get a job at McDonald's, no problem, make some money. But the minute you get the job at McDonald's, it's not just about you working a certain amount of time. They want to control every aspect of your life. You can't go in and just say, I need to work this day, because it's like, you're going to do this or that. And then these companies invariably give you as little resources as possible. Basically, they control every aspect of your life. But if you try to go into your soul's purpose, there's no resources for it, so you're left floundering, right? So what we're doing in developing our executive power is, and just as from doing the reading, what I've seen, the situation between the men and the women. The men are manipulating the women. They are causing them to be upset purposely. And then putting rules on, like, well, you're not allowed to get upset. So you're allowed to lie. You're allowed to not keep your word. You're allowed to just flip the story. You're allowed to call me out of my name. But I'm not allowed to yell. See what I'm saying? So it's like all these things that have been put on women, and it's just not going to work anymore for anybody, because there's no way we can even step into the new earth if the relationships between the men and the women don't work. And this whole thing about all this divine and all this stuff, it has to be grounded in reality, as far as men creating a safe space for women and not being some manipulative. But it's not manipulative in a good way. It's like trying to hurt her constantly, and then lying about it. And then when she says, I see you're doing this, you point the finger to her and say, oh, you're yelling, therefore you're the problem. All this dynamics between men and women didn't happen in a fishbowl. The women were not alone in a fishbowl. They were living, trying to make things work. And most women want to be in partnership. The majority of women will put up with a lot. But to the degree of what's going on, I mean, you have to kind of come to the realization that something needs to change, okay? So the shooting star came in. So basically what I did is I did the alchemy of polarity. This is the list, which is the completion of it. So I think the best thing that we can do, I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to talk about the shooting star that came in when I started the alchemy of polarity, because what you do is you go through a process of looking at 10 areas of your life, because this isn't just about getting clues. Like, yeah, I get clues that this is where I need to go. But the thing of it is, how do I navigate when these are the things I'm up against? So the shooting star is coupled with another clue that I got, which is miracles happen every day. So we're talking about executive power, developing executive power. So what it takes is staying within the contract. Say, I said I would do this, and staying pure of heart and being in that atonement with how you are, but at the same time breaking those rules and those barriers that are making it actually impossible. Because when somebody's manipulating another person and purposely trying to hurt them, and then lying and saying, I'm not doing that, I'm doing this, and they're doing it. And then when you finally say, I've had enough of this, then they say, oh, you're the problem because you're always upset. When the women are always upset because the men are so childish and so manipulative, there's no relationship in that. There's nothing. You can't move forward. You can't have a goal. You can't have a conversation. It's just this constant childish interaction. So this is about as honest as I can be, because I've heard, of course I've sat there for hours listening to people's videos. I've heard what they have to say. And there is always this separation between the person who's the teacher and their life, because they want to always come off like they're the authority, because that's the system that we live in. I'm the top dog, I'm the ruler, you listen to me, you need me. Whereas I'm giving you sovereignty, but this is coming directly through me. And I think that what's missing for me and what I'm talking about is it just really doesn't seem like anyone really wants to talk about these things like they really happen. They want to say it, talk around it until they have some smooth kind of way to come on as a salesperson. And then just be bipolar about everything. When I'm coming on consistently strong and I'm saying, you know, I'm doing these readings for you. I'm doing the people that are listening, whatever time, because this is endless. This is basically all time. This is powerful. So, when I did the Alchemy of Polarity and then I got the answers, I started looking at it and reading it. That's what you do. You look at it because basically you've looked at both the negative and the positive side for however long. Usually I would say at least a week. This thing only took me 4 days. Never has something came that fast. And the thing is, it's from looking at it and observing it and looking at the archetypes, looking at the clues and really thinking about it, just spending time with it. Like we're sitting here now. So when I started reading this, my significant other, I got into a pretty bad fight and I literally just went off on him. And then the girl that we were renting to got upset, understandably, but also in the respect of what was going on. It's almost like going through the situation, I realized so completely that we're completely immersed in a divorce culture. Everybody's cheering everybody on to leave the, toxic person. Nobody's willing to sit and work on it. But the minute you raise your voice, they got a problem with you. But literally, our 3 rentals are all people that can't get along with people and are in the midst of separation. So now they're going to come put on me. Okay? So it's a guilt trip, basically. So I'm going to put you in the court of law so people don't want to talk about what's going on in their life. They don't want to be honest about it. But this is what is happening. And I go online, I read a lot, I talk to a lot of people, so I think I know. Okay. So when I started reading it, that's when it happened. And then when it was going on, the whole thing, and it's still to this moment, I've been experiencing being told at every point what's going on, having complete executive power, being able to look at something, shift it immediately. And so when it started happening with the argument, basically, I knew I could see it was executive power because that's almost like I could feel everything shifting. But I think that it was almost like what we're seeing in society now is that the dysfunction is so high that people are one of 2 things. Either they're just cutting each other off and running the opposite way and keeping the story and making the whole atmosphere this really hell on earth, or they're in the trenches like I am trying to work it out. And I'm doing it for me and everyone else. So it behooves me to talk about it and to come on in a way that you can hopefully hear something of what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm going to read the list. I'm not going to put it up this time. I'm just going to read it. This is the list I was reading. Number 1, purchasing property in the new earth. 2, my lifestyle is in balanced union. See, that whole alchemical equation came about from, of course everybody has this, but there's things about me that happened to me, basically traumas that happened to me, that caused me to look in a certain way that I don't like. And I've realized over, my lifetime that, first of all, people don't really care what you look like, but it's about what you think, right? So I've adjusted myself to focus on, like I've been open. It's like when I start feeling in a certain way about myself, I allow myself the room to look at it in a different way, to be open to something different, to be more creative. It's like the way I dress, the way I come off, the way, I feel like my whole life is art science. So it's like I'm looking at everything in the composition and how it is. Like, for instance, my videos, I'm sure they tend to be extremely boring and very wordy and probably confusing and a lot like basically going off on tangents. But the things you have to understand is that's what this work is. So if I sat here and really explained everything to you, it would take me literally hours. Like 6 hours instead of a half hour. So I have to kind of cherry pick things and try to focus it in a way that you can. But the thing of it is just to get the set and stuff. So that second question, the second alchemy, this is the answer that I got. My lifestyle is in balanced union. When the fight was going on, I saw, because there were areas that I literally could see that it was like a huge wall, and I couldn't get past it because of the situations, interactions. And I was trying to say it every way, and it just wasn't happening. It was getting worse. And like, it was just basically a really bad situation. So when I lost my temper, I could see that it was just like, I was literally like, that's it, cutting it off completely and making it clear. And the thing is, since that day, it's just been basically me saying, you know, here's your wall that you put up with me. But I'm telling you right now, that wall is no longer valid. And what I'm saying is that this is the way it's going to go. This is the road that's going to go, regardless. Like, solid pack. I have enough resources and enough things that I'm doing and enough ways to basically do what I need to do to make whatever I need to do happen. And I don't need to interact with people, places, and things that do nothing but manipulate me, use me for my goodwill. Manipulation, what is manipulation? Saying one thing, but really doing another. I'm going to say I want to work this out, but I'm going to, underneath the surface, try to keep doing things that I know are going to make you upset. So I can point the finger at you when you yell. That is the problem between men and women. So number 3, I am a portal between heaven and earth. Well, that came about the same way. That came about from the whole reading and everything that was going on. So when you get to the point of having these 3 and 4 wheels of alchemy that you can embed in your Merkaba shift, which is a whole other process. The first step is to have the list, because you're doing the whole reading, and this is the list that you read. So you're reading it. It's a different perspective to look at it. It's like this whole situation that happened, basically. And there's more prongs to it, all these little, whatever is leading out. And then I'm saying I'm creating this new paradigm, and I've set my template up, and I've created the pathways that I can point to and say A, B, C, and D. I've pointed this, and this is the way I'm going. And if you don't want to partake of me, then you're going to go this other way around me. But I'm still going to reach my goal, because just because someone is having issues doesn't mean that I need to now fall in line with their problem. It has already been established and agreed that this is what we're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is where the women are at. I am a portal between heaven and earth. So it is a pretty profound thing to say. Any conversation I have, anything that's going on, it does seem like if I'm a portal between heaven and earth, that could cause some interesting fluctuations, don't you think? 4, all things manifest from within now miraculously. When I was having the argument and the things were happening, I could feel it, because basically what had happened is I've been looking at the list enough and kind of going over the clues and thinking, because this is something I work on every day. Every day I work on it. And I'm looking at it and thinking about it, and then this thing happens, and I can feel the force of these alchemical illusions just basically moving the atmosphere. All things manifest from within miraculously now. So it's just emerging from the center of the being. I am safe, secure, and perfectly made. Another one. Because I felt like the whole thing is to create a scenario of manipulation to undermine you because of whatever reason. And then when you get upset, they point the finger at you because they want to upend your emotional security. They want you to feel unbalanced. They want to pull you down. And so what do? You go down there. So this basically is saying, no, they're saying this to me, but I've read this so many times. I know I am safe, secure, and perfectly made. Plus this equation took a while to, and this came from doing, I started the readings like months and months and months ago. Been working on this. 6, my work is to embody a full range of higher vibrating emotions and their higher visions. Higher emotions. I can't live in a higher emotion when I'm constantly being squelched and pushed down. I have to stay in a balanced equilibrium. 7, I can make fun and interesting videos to draw customers towards me. Okay. 8, this is another one. Both the good and the bad lead to the fruition of the higher visions. See, because if you think about reality, if you're in a war, don't you go through a lot of battles? But the whole positive thinking wants you to only live one half of the equation. Like, I understand the direction it goes into, and I adhere to, that teaching per se, and I do understand. And I think that what we're going now is, let's just do the last 2, and then I'm going to tell you the direction we're starting to go into. 9, I focus on the alchemization of all things towards my goal. See, my whole job is to balance out the equilibrium, but I can't do that unless I'm making lists and actually writing it down and looking at it and working on it. Like, really, it's called doing the inner work. Like, if I'm not you know what I mean? You can't just keep coming the same way, because the thing is, the more balanced and equilibrium, the more awareness particles that are coming into the person, the more they understand and know themselves to be these things, then the less is hidden. So the more people try to hide then this character identification, this lower model character, and just trying to push this identity out, like, oh, this is my identity and all this stuff is attached to me, and start living in a different way where we're learning and growing in a new way. This teaching that I have is just how you turn the matrix world right side up and find your way for the maze. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and you're not going to confront all this stuff and that you're not here for a really hard job. I'm not saying that. So it really does kind of bother me in a way when I see always these half-sided people and their identities. It just irks me. But I understand it. God knows if everybody was like me, what it would be. It would be a fucking shit show. 10, I am guided and directed by the Father with specific and detailed directions. It's been like that consistently, and that's why I can say I know the argument was basically wielding executive power. So that really kind of quashes the whole argument that you can't sometimes stand your ground, because sometimes that's the next most feasible thing to do. Of course, you always have to understand to be within the law. You can't touch someone, you can't threaten people, but you can take a stand for your sovereignty, most certainly. There's no law against that. So we're moving into a direction right now, and so basically, oh my God. 69, power and truth, awakening limitless potential of undefinable love. I guess there's not this one. This talks a lot about basically going within to the deep inner recesses of the unconscious super and superconscious mind, and grounding ourselves in this sovereign authority of being equal with basically it's basically the whole the deck is all a romance deck, see? Because life is really about that perfect union between the masculine and the feminine. So it starts with the unification, the one mind. So when you're vibrating on all these ideas, it creates this explosion of things. And that's what the 3 and 4 pronged wheels of alchemy do. The equations, the ones I just read. When you look at them, you talk to them, you just basically, you spend time with them, observing them, because it's your perception, see? It's more the perception of what's going on and becoming clear and directed specifically, just like the last equation I read. So this card, Power and Truth, Awakening Limitless Potential of Undefinable Love, is really a card that talks about, I think it's the 7th process, which is embedding the Chris Cornell's personal pyramid technology for embedding the higher wheels of alchemy into the Merkaba ship. Basically, it's creating ceremony and spending time with the equations, because basically the equations are the culmination of becoming that sovereign partner to the other half. So it goes beyond space and time. It goes beyond small level, small, lower identity relationships, because clearly in the world we're living, that's just not working, right? How are you doing? Let me see if I can look at it real quick. Poop. This is something I really don't want to read, but this really is the actual main problem that we're having. And this is the world myth. So basically, this is one of the archetypes of this card that's a world myth. So I'm going to read it. Ugh. In a male-dominated society, the name of the game is to silence the feminine. Sexism, bigotry is a unilateral suppression of her ideas and work, because the masculine only understands his linear way. Labeling the divine oracle crazy for living her circular life of having many creations is in the process simultaneously. The masculine single-minded focus has made the feminine's voice limited to the Matrix movie screen reality, living in a world where the feminine feels like a prisoner. That's exactly what I was saying, of love, and it's limiting and it's deeply unfair. Chris Cornell personal pyramid technology to activate your Merkaba light ship. Merge into all polarities of experience to understand the ideas and concepts that everything that happens to you is for you and are the greater expressions of your soul's purpose contracts. Do not force things, allow them to blossom naturally. Be light and don't take things too seriously. Combine the heart and the mind to express love. Your combined vision utilizes the inner technologies of Chris Cornell's personal pyramid technology that allows the human to get on purpose and affect global changes through consciousness. So, see, this is what we're doing. We're affecting the global unconsciousness of the societies through doing this inner work.